Ladies and gentlemen, today I have a surprise for you, although it's already spoiled because I'm going to talk about this mega panel. It is the first time in SKAARHOJ history you have seen such a large product come out from us, and it is not a standard product. It is made for a customer, it is made to order, it is specially designed, it's a custom panel, okay? But it is record-breaking, and if you look at it as a whole, you have about 800 hardware components integrated in 7 individual control panels brought together in this panel. So, what is it? Well, it's a vision mixing panel. You can see that it has a T-bar, it has transition control sections, it has multifunction blocks, and it has ME sections here and an auxiliary section up here. It's all combined into a solid aluminum frame with a very nice wooden edge here. So, high quality and super nice panel. It looks like a single thing, but it's actually modular. So that's what I want to show you today, how this panel in general is a great solution for an expandable vision mixing solution from SKAARHOJ. If we look at the individual components of the panel, I would like to first highlight that we have the ME section over here. In the ME section, we have buttons with display so you can have dynamically labeled source names, which is, of course, what you see in standard switching surfaces of this size. And by the way, in all SKAARHOJ products, we put a lot of effort into give you dynamic labels for your inputs so that your panels are truly flexible. That's kind of the heartbeat of what we do. If you look at other things on this panel, we also find the transition sections over here, which features a T-bar, and the T-bar is custom designed SKAARHOJ quality. So we have a very nice, a little wider handle than you're used to. We have a curved arm, we have an LED ring built in so you can color code your T-bar. It's a really, really nice high quality component made by SKAARHOJ especially for you and of course this project. But we are very proud of that component. You also find things like color Oled buttons on this panel. These are the high quality edge-to-edge NKK buttons. So you can show a full color image on these buttons if you want. That could be a frame from a still store. It can be a logo bug that you want the button to bring in on a keyer. Use it for whatever you want. Of course, they are fully Unisketch compatible, so you can bring any function onto these OLED buttons and they will show you the text and graphics that comes out of the Unisketch system, which is the SKAARHOJ software that runs on any panel. The panel is currently connected to a Blackmagic Design ATEM Constellation 8K switcher system. This is set up to use the 4K mode where you have 40 4K input sources along with super sources, color generators, media players, keyers, I think like 4 keyers on each ME, and it's a 4 ME switcher as well. It has 24 outputs, auxiliary outputs, so you can route anything to those outputs that you want. And as I said, it has like 40 inputs. This panel is kind of perfect for that, for multiple reasons. First of all, you will be able to manage all MEs on it, even though you don't see it built up to a direct 4ME situation. But as you saw from the introduction, this panel would be powerful enough to be extended to 4 true MEs by having this section multiplied 4 times, built into a frame that supports it. But now let's look at how it works with the ATEM switches. So in the background behind me, you see the ATEM software control, and you can see as I am changing sources on the preview row here, you also see the change down here. If I go to the software and I change to camera number 4, you also see change down there. Look at the labels in the displays. You can see the names coming out of the software, out of the switcher onto the panel. Let's press the shift key here. When we go to the shift key, it corresponds to when I go shift here. You can see we have now camera 21 here, and it's selected when I push it. So I can also select something for programmed camera 24 right there. Over here in this end of the panel, you see color bars, ME 2, 3, and 4 preview. You have super source, color 2, media player 1 and 2. You know what? These are not fixed, although you might think so, because this is all configured with the SKAARHOJ configuration interface, which is a web page where you have drop downs to select the sources you put onto the buttons. So it's really just me who decided that this is how I want the layout to be. You can totally scramble it as you want. But if I go back from, if I just disable Shift here, you can see the sources like Black and ME2, 3, and 4 program, etc. on these keys. Now, there is a little color indicator between the two key rows, and that is designed to give you color coding of your buttons. So I've decided to color code everything white over here because it's normal cameras, while over here I've given a purple color to the black bars, I have given green color to the ME rows, etc. So that's another feature of this panel, that you have this color bar that you can use for whatever you want, including tally indicators if you want. So we have this exact same situation on this panel, although the ME, and it's controlling ME2. That is clear from the label we put in here. So you can see ME1, ME2, and because I think up here we have ME4. Now, if I wanted to change this one to ME3, I just press this button and you see ME3 appears in the header here and for every single of the labels on this panel. And of course, you also see that the configuration of the buttons here are changing. In the upper row up here, we have auxiliary 1 source. That's what the label tells us. But I programmed this keypad over here to be a selector for our auxiliary sources. Let's first check if it works. So I think if we go up here and we look at output number 1, okay? Output number 1, we now see in the software whatever we select for the auxiliary. So we have now camera 1 selected. I can go 2, 3, 4, and so forth. Camera number 12. If I hold down the Shift key over here on the panel, then we can easily access camera 37. So we jump right down there for the output of output number 1. If I want to control output number 2, I programmed it so that I just press this button. Wait a second, I need the Shift key over here, so I go to the second one right there. I go now to output number 2. We also see the label up here. It's updated. I select input camera number 3. When I press that button, boom. There you go. If I hold down the Shift key, I have access to sources up to 24. So I press this one and I can now select sources for output 24 on the ATEM switcher. And for that one, I can select camera number 4. Oh, wait, that was not camera 1. That was camera 24 because I had the Shift key enabled. Okay, so that was the ME sections. These multifunction parts of the auxiliary and ME rows can be programmed as you want. I have not labeled them yet, but if you want, you can put labels under the keycaps of these nice buttons. Of course, for the OLED buttons, you have labels coming out of the ATEM switcher, and down here I have selected whether it's key 1, 2, 3, or 4 that you select with the OLED buttons for the key select rows. Let's take a look at that. Okay, so camera number 1 is currently chosen as the fill source, and black is still my key source. But now I select camera 4 as my key source. It's right over here. So you see camera 4 and camera 1 is now selected for the keys. Likewise down here for on the first ME row. Let's move over to the transition section, and the multifunction block, if we take that one first, you see very nice OLED graphics on these buttons. So the idea here is that when you press these buttons, you get the media still that you find in the ATEM switcher. That would be one brilliant way to use the OLED buttons. The rest of the keys, that would be up to you, and I didn't program them to do anything but respond to my key press. So they're currently actually dumb with the ATEM switcher, but you can map them to any action you want. And that's the point. That is a multifunction block. So you want it to be, whatever. But if we look at the keyer section for the transition block, we have a little bit more order in this case. Let's look at the awesome T-bar first of all. So, of course, this T-bar, as I said, would have a nice LED ring showing you when it makes a transition. So you see the transition happening here in the background in the ATEM software. That is, you have seen that multiple times before, but what you haven't seen is a T-bar like this with an LED bar, LED ring sitting in the T-bar that will color code it for its action. So that is a unique SKAARHOJ component we just made. If we look at the panel, otherwise we have access to keys, so we can toggle keys on and off, which you also see in the software right now. If I do it up here for ME2, then you see likewise that I'm toggling keys. I chose these buttons here to be enabling what the labels in the displays are showing. So since I didn't label these buttons, I thought, okay, I will now use this one to select what the labels show. And they show keyer 1, 2, 3, and 4 on and off. If I click here, you can see that this row will have next transition. So when I press this one, you'll get these keys enabled. And if you hold down the shift key on this part of the panel, you can also deselect background if you want. So we go to the lower row of buttons, which is transition select. So we are currently on the mixed transition, but I can change to dip, I can change to wipe, stinger, and if I hold down the shift key, we have access to DVE, which is the last of the 5 different types. We have auto and cut buttons, we have preview, transition, and over here in the far corner we have the downstream keyers. So on and off are downstream keyers, and if I hold down my shift key, I have auto for the downstream keyers. So I can also use a blend transition for those. We have tie functions for the downstream keyers here. Then I have a number of buttons which are, again, not assigned to anything, because in the context of the Atm switcher, I couldn't figure out what to do with them, but these are at your disposal. So you can do whatever you want with these. You can turn on and off the light if you install a device core to do that. So that is kind of the panel at a glance. This will work with your ATEM Constellation. It will work with other switching systems as well. So if you think that this looks like the solution to your new switcher system, you don't want to build a hardware panel yourself, call SKAARHOJ, because this is what we do. Not only do we make some of the world's best and most user-friendly broadcast panels for vision mixing, PDC control, camera control, etc., we also do custom work, and we are set up to do it efficiently, quick, and as your preferred partner to make broadcast hardware panels for your software and hardware solutions.